I'm Gina Teichert, an artist and culture writer with roots in Utah and boots in Northern California. My guest today is Greg Newbold, a Utah-based painter and illustrator who will be joining me and many other Utah artists in the Springville Museum Spring Salon, which opens April 26th and runs through July 8th. No stranger to danger, this will be Newbold's 10th appearance at the Spring Salon since 1996. Last year, his work, 3 Horsepower, received an Award of Merit, and the image also appeared on the cover of Avant Magazine. Charmingly self-deprecating and often truly useful, Newbold's internet persona has taken on a life of its own. He shares tips and tricks for using art materials and designing an appealing canvas, skills no doubt gleaned from his 30 years as an illustrator. Newbold paints western deserts, mountain landscapes, agricultural scenes, and lately, whimsical paintings of vintage toys. Some of you Western art collector readers might remember his hollyhock painting, Desert Grace, from the December 2022 issue. You can find his work at Manitou Galleries in Santa Fe, Medicine Man in Tucson, David Erickson Fine Art in Salt Lake City, and of course, the 99th annual Spring Salon at Springville Museum of Art. Welcome, Greg. Thanks for joining me today. It's fun having you on here, and I can't wait to actually meet you in 3D next week.
Are you coming out to the?
Yeah, I'm going to be out there, so cool. I'll be at the museum, and
I'm planning on it unless something happens,
Wonderful. So I understand this is your 10th year being in the Spring Salon. A, congratulations to that, and B, wow, tell me a little bit about what it's been like.
So the first time I entered was back in 1996, and I entered up painting that was from my first children's picture book, and that back then you could enter on slide. They juried everything off of a slide, and not from the originals. And I remember when I got in, and when I took my painting in, and it's only about 14 inches tall. It's not very big, and I just remember them looking at it, going, "Oh, we thought it was going to be bigger." And I was like, "Oh, that's harsh." And the very next year, they outlawed jurying from slides. You had to bring the originals in. So I claim that I'm the cause of that.
And many dinged corners on frames since.
Unfortunately, that happens not too often lately, which is good. But yeah, that's the risk you take.
Yeah, we call them a cattle call,
Well, you heard that there were 1,100 entries this year.
There were 1,100. That's impressive.
So congratulations to you as well for getting in, because that's a high ratio to beat out.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, this is my first year actually applying, but it's been something I've been aware of for a long time. I was born about 10 miles from there, but now I live in California and all those things. But they said you still count as a Utah artist if it's on your passport. So I got it.
You're still a native. It's okay.
Totally counts. Yeah. So over the years, I've talked to a lot of people who've been in this show, and man, I understand it's kind of a career maker for some younger artists as they get there. It's a great way to kind of, I don't know, share your work with the Utah community and maybe get some awards or things. I understand you won an Award of Merit last year. Not that that's a new thing for you, winning awards, but tell me about how that kind of feels as an artist.
That was the first award from the Springville Salon that I've ever gotten. So in the 8 or 9 previous times that I'd had work accepted, I hadn't yet won anything. So it was it felt nice to finally get that type of recognition. And so yeah, it's a nice feather in the cap, I guess. So yeah, it was cool. I was happy to be in.
And that was for a work called 3 Horsepower. That's correct.
3 Horsepower was the one from last year. Yeah.
Yeah. Tell me a little bit about that one. It's 2 guys, and some horses, maybe working a field. Tell me how that one came about.
So I've always been intrigued with kind of farming agricultural themes. I didn't really grow up on a farm, but we had a family farm homestead that that we had to take care of for my great aunt. And so we were always there, taking care of the animals. We'd haul hay, pack the barn, feed the sheep, all that stuff. And so I think I grew a big vegetable garden. So I kind of feel like I have those sort of farmery roots. My mom grew up on a dairy farm. So it feels like a natural kind of subject matter for me to explore. And I've done that all throughout my careers, kind of played around with that kind of subject matter. But I was approached by Avant Magazine, which is a French/English magazine that focuses on vintage workwear, vintage clothing. And they asked me to do a cover that was based on a vintage photograph of these guys standing in front of their horses. And in the photograph, there were these two guys, and there were two horses. Were there three horses? I don't remember. But I used that as a springboard for my composition. And then it ended up on the magazine cover, and I approached it as if I would a gallery painting so that I could make it do double duty.
Yeah.
So that's what I've been doing quite a bit of lately, is trying to make my illustration work do double duty. But that's where it first appeared, and then I entered it in the salon, and everybody seemed to like it. So that was fun.
Wonderful. I remember kind of watching your process on Instagram with the reference image you were sharing and things. So that was kind of fun for those of us who haven't had a chance to see your work in person yet. Also, tell me a little bit about this year's work. It's called In the Clover. And now that I know your mom grew up on a dairy, this is making a lot more sense.
Sure. So one of the first oil painting workshops that I ever took, I went back to grad school in 2007, and one of my goals was I wanted to learn how to paint in oil. I had never really painted in oil. I'd always painted in acrylic. And so I took it kind of as a challenge. And one of our assignments was to do, they called it a dream project. And I'd always wanted to do these series of paintings based on sheep shearing, because we had the sheep that were always on the homestead. And I'd taken photos over the years multiple times and always wanted to do these paintings. So I took that as a challenge. I was going to learn how to oil paint. I was going to do the series of sheep paintings. And that's kind of where it all started. And then I took a workshop at that time from Michael Workman. I don't know if you know Michael Workman's work. He's a Utah-based artist, lives in Spring City. And we went to this workshop, and he called it the cow workshop, because we all got this picture photograph of a cow, and then we all painted along with him from the same reference. And it was really a great experience, and I learned a lot about oil painting. And from then I was like, wow, this feels really natural. I think I'm going to keep painting cows. So a couple of years after that, I did a version of this subject in the clover at about a 12-inch scale. And I always really liked the composition. I always thought, well, I'm going to do this large someday. And it's taken me a few years to get around to doing it large, but I finally did this year. So that's where that one came from.
Oh, wonderful. It's been fun to watch kind of the progress through Instagram. And I think that's how a lot of us actually know you, partly because you're fun. Not only are you sharing your knowledge, but like you're a little self-deprecating and goofy. And like, I could appreciate that, because most of us get a little, like, I don't know, awkward when we're all head to camera.
I don't love being on camera. I never have. And unlike a lot of people, I don't really love hearing my own voice played back, because it just sounds different. And I've slowly gotten a little bit more used to being on camera. I don't do it a ton, but I appreciate that you enjoy my goofy sense of humor.
And I've learned a few things too. I mean, we all could benefit from sharing knowledge and techniques.
I agree. I mean, nobody exists as an artist in a vacuum, and I've learned so many things from other people. I've had great mentors. I've learned from, all sorts of sources. And I'm like, I don't feel like anything should be like a secret as far as the art process goes. It's like, try stuff, share stuff, try stuff, help, your fellow artists.
What's next for you, Greg?
I'm still working on a number of illustration projects that I have, but I'm also trying to get some new works done for my galleries that carry my work. So I've always got a few things in the works. I had a big push in March to get some things done for a show that I had, and that was kind of fun. And then I've got another one coming up May 19th. That's a kind of a corporate art event, just a one night thing. So I'm going to try and get a couple of new things done for that, and then I'll just be hopefully just painting all summer to send to my galleries.
Do you want to give those galleries a shout out?
So I'm represented by Medicine Man Gallery in Tucson, Arizona, Manitou Galleries in Santa Fe, and David Erickson Fine Art in Salt Lake City. And they all have anywhere from a half a dozen to 10 or 11 pieces of my work at any given time. And they've been great to work with.
Wonderful. Well, thanks so much for taking the time, Greg. Congratulations again on the show, and I'll see you at the Springville Salon, which opens next Wednesday, April 26th.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, and it'll be fun to meet in person.
Cheers. Thanks for your time.
Bye.